What up, guys? Matt Gilbert here. Wanted to discuss something that may be difficult for some to grasp, and it's actually not too bad once you get the hang of it. As you guys know, or maybe you don't know, but I'm a personal trainer, and on top of that, I also love to travel. And oftentimes, when people think of traveling, they think of eating good food. They think of, there's no way that I can, stay in shape or maintain the body that I have by going on vacation. But the thing is that you're wrong. You can. Okay. So I want to kind of give you some tips on not only how to stay fit while traveling, but also times that I personally think, again, you can do whatever the hell you want. But I want to give you situations where, I want to give you different advice on certain things because, there's going to be certain times where I'd probably just say, enjoy yourself, have a good time. Anyways, before I get into that, let me dive into it. So I recently got back from when I say recently, it was actually like 3 months ago, but September, October, 2 months ago that I got back. Oh man, time really flies. Anyways, I was in Europe for 2 months, and while I was not really able to maintain my, the body that I had going into that trip, I was still able to stay active and stay fit. The way I did this, especially for that length of time, is that I still made sure that I trained, that I was doing strength training 3 times a week. That is huge for those who are in the strength training, those who want to maintain their muscle mass. You've got to continue to train, hard and heavy. And efficiently. The only way that you're going to retain that muscle mass is if you really kind of bust your ass in the gym. The reason being is that even though I was able to do it sometimes, I still found it difficult probably to get in the amount of meals that I would otherwise get in at home. So that's also another issue, especially for those guys who are hard gainers, meaning that it's difficult for them to put on muscle. They lose muscle very, very quickly. Especially for those guys, I would say, and these are guys that are generally, it's harder for them to get fat, okay? For those guys, I generally say, enjoy your vacation. Don't worry too much about your diet, but really worry about getting in your protein, and just getting in those extra calories, and on top of that, staying on a solid training program. Whatever country or city that you're visiting, go online, try to find a gym that's within walking distance. I mean, this day and age, the world is filled with gyms. There's no excuse not to find a gym close by. Now, let me break that down even further. For those of you who are watching this and say, look, man, I'm not that serious. I just want to, I just don't want to get fat. I just don't want to get fat on my vacation. Well, my biggest advice for you here is to just stay active. The interesting thing that I actually found with travel is that you actually tend to be a little bit more active than you would be at home. Just because, especially for, and I think this is probably true for even other, parts of the world, but especially going to Europe, you don't drive, right? And so everything that you go to, whether you're staying in a hostel or Airbnb like I did, usually everything is going to be, within walking distance, and even if it's not, you're still going to probably choose walking over doing like an Uber. Even if the supermarket is half a mile away, you might say, okay, I'm gonna go there and walk there. I don't want to spend the money for an Uber. You're just a little bit more conscious about things, especially in the United States, where it's so big and so everything is, you got to pretty much drive everywhere. So I've actually found that it's a little easier to get your, cardio or just to be a little bit more active, when you're traveling. So, if you are trying to, stay fit or, maintain your body, and you're kind of going to more of a relaxing place, like you're going to be laying on the beach a lot, that's completely fine. But if you're going to be staying for an extended period of time, make sure that you really try to pick some activities where you're going to be, hiking or just doing something, because to me those activities, not only do they make you feel good, but it also prevents you from gaining a ton of weight. So go for like a jog in the morning. That's one of my favorite things to do. Not necessarily a jog, but just like a nice walk. Maybe before you get your food in, or you can have your breakfast and go for a walk and just enjoy scenery and come back, and I guarantee you'll feel kind of refreshed and probably pretty energized to take on the day. Which brings me to point number 2, and that is diet. This is something where, again, I'm going to have to sort of emphasize different people here. If you're like me, now, some people will probably really argue this with me, but, whatever. I know my body pretty well, and I know that, if I take in too many carbohydrates, at a time, that eventually it'll begin to catch up and I'll start to get soft. My body can't handle that many carbohydrates. Do I cut them out completely? Not all the time, especially when I'm trying to put on a little bit of muscle. I'll include some carbohydrates in my diet. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying that for me it is easier, and with restaurants now, to me it's much easier to not worry about the fat and keep the carbs down a little bit, okay? I'm not saying you can't enjoy yourself from time to time. And again, we're talking about a trip that I would say is over a month, okay? So it's really going to require you to kind of be a little bit careful if you don't want to put on the extra pounds. Now, I will tell you this. I think there are 2 times where you should, be kind of strict if, bodybuilding or fitness means a lot to you. The 2 times are long trips and really short trips. Let me explain. If it's a really long trip, then you're going to want to kind of watch what you're eating and make sure you're up on your training, because that length of time, it's more opportunity to kind of let yourself go. You're not on your routine, and next thing you know, you could blow up, and lose muscle and all that, all the bad shit. So that's one reason. The other reason that I say a short trip is that, and I'm talking like a short trip, maybe 1 to 3 days, that you should also be very strict, is because we'll most likely say that's like a business trip. So say you travel a lot for work. Then that's no excuse to eat like a lot of bad crap. You gotta, if you're really dedicated to this, then, it's so easy now. We live in a day and age where, there's so many healthy options out there. You can go to Whole Foods. You can, hell, you know what? And I know this is kind of last resort, but you can even go to a fast food place and take the chicken breast off the bread if you have to. All right, we have company. Say hi. You see that? There we go. Anyways, I don't know if she's gonna come back. We'll see. You have anything to add, Doris? Her name's Dora. You have anything to add to the video? Okay, maybe not. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, so even with a fast food place, that's not the thing that I would be sort of recommending, but if it came to it, even those places have salads now. You can eat like grilled chicken on a salad. Especially in a short-term situation like that, there's no reason not to, stick to a healthier diet. Now there is one exception that I'm going to say: don't worry about your food. These are situations where it's maybe like 4 or 5 days and it's a planned holiday. So if it's a planned holiday, you should have done all of your work before that holiday, meaning, you should have gotten into the best shape that you wanted to during that trip. And, now you can enjoy yourself. You've really busted your ass. It's time to put your feet in the sand in that tropical destination and just chill out and drink a bunch of tropical drinks and eat a bunch of shit, garbage. You gotta live life too. So I think in terms of that situation, I think that you need to just kind of let go and live your life. If you're like me, even then I can't do it. Even, sometimes I, like for Thanksgiving or certain holidays, I can kind of let myself go and have a good time, eat whatever I want, stuff myself and not feel guilty. But, even then it's hard for me. So, I'll put it to you this way. If you're as strict as I am, then I don't even think you need this video. I think these are more for people who might be on the fence about something, or they're just not really sure how to go about it. And maybe they don't know how to go about a diet. But, to summarize, I think it's always easier to reduce your carbs than it is your fat. The reason being is that with carbs, you know exactly for the most part, if carbs are going to be in your meal or not. That way you can sort of regulate it. If you want to have a sandwich at lunch, that's fine. If you want to have some fruit, that's fine. But maybe with your dinner, maybe you say, leave off the rice. I'm just going to eat, grilled chicken and vegetables. Or if you want to save it till the night, that's fine too. You could go the whole day and kind of just eat, protein, vegetables. And then at night say, hey, I want to have an enjoyable dinner. I want to have some glasses of wine, some rice with my meal. Maybe even enjoy a little bit of a dessert. At night, that's fine. But just try to find a balance for yourself. Don't try to stress out about it too much. At the end of the day, you're there to travel. You're there to have a really good time. Again, traveling is temporary, meaning that, you go, you have a really fun time, you come back and hopefully you're right back on your grind and your hustle. And you can kind of get back into a routine. So the biggest thing I want you guys to take away for this is to enjoy yourself, especially when you're going out of town. It really is a time to relax, have fun, go on adventures, meet people. But, again, for those of you who are like me and they just kind of want to watch themselves a little bit and try to be healthy and not blow up and not to get too fat, then, now hopefully you kind of know what to do. So anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. I really enjoyed talking to you guys. I hope you enjoyed it too, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.